Hello, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are around the world, and a huge welcome to today's Postgrad Insights session. Today's session will be brought to you by the University of Miami School of Law, who will be talking you through all the LLM programs and the various different aspects that brings with it. Now, before I hand you over to a few of the colleagues there, a reminder, this is a live session. Anyone that has any questions on social media, please put it in the message facility or email myself, gareth@postgradsolutions.com. Likewise, if you're on Zoom and you'd like to ask any questions, please use the chat or Q&A facility at the bottom of your screen. And if you have any questions on demand and you're watching in the future, once again, email myself, gareth@postgradsolutions.com. But for now, I don't want to waste too much more time. I'd like to hand you over to Sandra. Sandra's going to be taking you over for the next 30 minutes, and I'll be back for the Q&A at the end. Sandra, over to you.
Thank you so much, Gareth. Hello, everybody. My name is Sandra Friedrich. I am the Assistant Dean for International Graduate Law Programs at the University of Miami School of Law. I'm also heading the International Arbitration Institute here, and I'm actually a foreign lawyer myself. I went to law school in Germany and France and came to the United States, actually the University of Miami specifically, for my LLM almost 20 years ago. I would also like for our other speakers today to introduce themselves. So I'm going to hand it over to Greg and Tom here for a second so they can introduce themselves. Greg?
Hello, everyone. My name is Greg Levy. I'm an Associate Dean here at University of Miami Law School. My Associate Dean responsibilities oversee academic affairs, student services, and strategic initiatives, and also work with LLM students as I direct the Entertainment, Arts, and Sports Law program, which we'll talk about a little later today. Tom, I'll hand it over to you.
All right, thank you. My name's Tom Nieline. I'm the Director of the LLM in Real Property Development. I've been teaching in the program since 1996, and I took over as director a year ago, but I can walk you through because we have a large number of graduates that are now placed all around the world because our program dates back to the 1980s.
Wonderful, thank you. All right, so let's get started with our discussion today. So today we are going to tell you about available law degree options in the United States and specifically at Miami Law. We're going to talk about LLM study options specifically, also our different LLM programs, how to apply to an LLM program. And then last but not least, we're going to cover scholarships and other funding opportunities for LLM students here at the University of Miami School of Law. All right, let's get started. So here at Miami Law, we have 3 different law degrees that we offer. First of all is the Juris Doctor degree, also known as the JD. This is basically the standard American law degree. Here in the United States, students first go to undergrad university, also known as college, for 4 years, and then they pursue a 3-year Juris Doctor in law. So the Juris Doctor here is the first degree in law in the United States. We also offer, of course, the Master of Laws, also known as the LLM. This is a post-JD or post-foreign law degree program and usually can be completed in 1 year. And last but not least, our newest program is the Doctor of Juridical Science, known as the SJD. This is a postgraduate degree. It's a PhD equivalent in law and usually takes 3 years. It requires the students to either have a JD or an LLM already before applying. All 3 degrees can be pursued here at Miami Law. Today, of course, we're going to focus on the LLM, but we wanted you to know these other degree options as well. Okay, so let me tell you a little bit about Miami and why this is the perfect place to do your LLM. I'm sure that many of you have heard about Miami before. I think some of you might have even visited, but let me tell you some of the interesting facts about our wonderful city. Miami is not only the portal to the Americas, it also has major ties and connections to the rest of the world. I myself am German, and there's a huge German community, there's a huge French community. So it is a very, very international city, a very vibrant city here in the southern part of Florida. Also, when it comes to law firms and businesses, we are home to 18 of the 25 largest law firms in the United States. In fact, last year, the Financial Times called Miami the most important city in America. So it's certainly been booming here. We are also the top 10 metropolitan area with the highest wages for lawyers. So that is, of course, very interesting to our students. There are over 1,400 multinational corporations that are headquartered here in Miami, and we're the #2 international banking center and center for foreign consulates and trade offices in the United States. Miami also has developed quite a reputation and is quite the hub for technology and in the startup sector. So that is a very important sector here now. Florida itself is actually the 4th largest economy in the United States. So a very active, very business-oriented state. Miami is one of the most multicultural places that I have ever been. There are over 100 languages spoken here. I believe more than half of the residents of Miami were born abroad and not in the United States. So it is a very, very international city and a very fun city to be in for your LLM studies. And of course, look at the pictures. The weather is also wonderful. All right. Now, I'm sure that some of you have heard about the University of Miami as well. We are one of the premier law schools here in the United States at one of the largest private research universities. We have in-depth course offerings on all aspects of U.S. law, international law, foreign law, comparative law. There are over 300 law lecture courses, seminars, workshops, clinics, and so forth every year on the curriculum. And almost all of them are open to our LLM students who take classes right alongside the JD students, which is, of course, very beneficial to both groups of students to learn from each other. Our students are able to take the typical foundational U.S. law courses here at the law school, such as contracts or civil procedure, business associations. Those are also helpful for those of you who would like to take the bar exam in the United States. But in addition to that, Miami Law offers 18 areas of focus areas of study. There are a myriad of specialty courses in those areas, ranging from business law to dispute resolution, to technologies law, to IP, to environmental law, health law, and so forth. It's a very, very diverse and extensive curriculum. Myself, as a student many years ago, I could never decide which classes to take. There were just too many classes that all sounded so interesting. So there's definitely not going to be a shortage of interesting courses for our LLM students. Now, let me tell you a little bit about the two different types of LLM degrees. We usually distinguish between what we call a general LLM and specialized LLM programs. And here at Miami Law, we have both. The general LLM is usually specifically tailored for foreign-trained lawyers, and often it provides a lot of flexibility in terms of the curriculum. Here at Miami Law, we only have 2 mandatory courses in our general LLM program, a course on Introduction to U.S. Law and a 2-semester course on Legal Writing and Communication. Those courses are also required for those of you who are interested in taking the bar exam in the United States as an LLM student. And other than that, the students in our general LLM program can basically choose whichever courses they're interested in from our very extensive curriculum. So there is a lot of flexibility to your course selection, to your course planning, which our students really highly value. The general program allows you to explore a number of different areas of law. So you can explore basic American law courses. You can also explore any of the specialty areas. You can take some prep courses for the bar exam if you're interested in doing that. You really have a lot of flexibility if you are in a general LLM program. Here at Miami Law, we also have a number of specialized LLM programs. So those are usually mixed in terms of having both domestically trained U.S. lawyers and foreign-trained lawyers in the program. And our programs offer different specializations. I'm going to walk you through them here in a second. And they're often combining both mandatory and elective courses in the specialty area. So usually in a specialized LLM, you're going to have to complete anywhere from half your credits to nearly all your credits in the specialized area of law. Of course, with that comes a profound understanding in that area of law, so that you really can become a specialized lawyer in that area. So let me show you the different programs that we offer. Our general LLM program is called the LLM in U.S. and Transnational Law for Foreign Lawyers. That's our general program that offers the most flexibility in terms of course choices and so forth. And then we also have a number of specialized programs. We have our program in Entertainment, Arts, and Sports Law that Greg's going to tell us more about here in a second. We have specialty programs in international arbitration, in international law, in maritime law, in real estate, property development, and Tom's going to tell us more about that in a second. This program has an online option, and then we also have two programs focused on tax, a general program on taxation that's more focused on tax law in the United States, and another program on taxation of cross-border investment that is more focused on international tax. That program also has an online option for those of you who are interested in remote study options. So let's take each program one by one, and we'll tell you a little bit more about each of these programs that we offer here. So first up is our general LLM in U.S. and Transnational Law for Foreign Trained Lawyers. This program is specifically tailored for foreign lawyers who want to explore U.S. law in depth during this one-year program. It's a very flexible approach to course selection. As I mentioned, there's only 2 mandatory courses. Otherwise, the students are able to explore any and all courses from our extensive curriculum and our 18 focus areas of law that we offer here at Miami Law. With this program, it's absolutely possible for our students to qualify to sit for a bar exam in the United States. There are about a dozen states that permit foreign trained lawyers to sit for the bar exam. Usually that requires an LLM from a U.S. Law school. So some of the most popular states that our students have qualified for include California, now Florida, with a very new option for LLM students to sit for the Florida bar, New York, of course, as well, and also Texas. Those are some of the most popular ones that we see for our students. In our general LLM programs, our students also have the opportunity to work in semester-long placements with international regional law firms, multinational companies, and other institutions here in Miami and elsewhere in the United States through our LLM Practicum program, which is basically like an externship program where the students are embedded with these companies, with these law firms, and doing real lawyering work under the supervision of a practicing attorney, of course, and our students are really enjoying those practical opportunities, the networking, and they're finding mentors through these programs. So that's really a wonderful opportunity. Our general program admits students both for spring, which starts in January, and for fall, which starts in August. So our priority application deadline for a spring January start is December 1st. If you need a visa, if you anticipate needing a visa, then we ask you to apply by November 1st because there's just a little bit more time that you will need in order to get that visa. For an August start, our priority deadline is May 1st. And of course, afterwards, these are priority deadlines. So even after those deadlines, we continue to accept applications on a rolling basis until all spaces are filled or the semester starts. So if you're late, it's obviously not ideal, but you can still apply after these deadlines, of course. All right, now I'm going to hand it over to Greg to tell us a little bit more about the LLM in Entertainment, Arts, and Sports Law. Greg?
Thanks so much, Sandra. So as I mentioned earlier, I oversee our Entertainment, Arts, and Sports Law LLM program. It's a very unique program. There aren't very many LLM degrees that focus on entertainment, arts, and sports law, and none in the world that focus on these three areas under one umbrella. So I think the first thing we want to set out kind of is that this area, there is no such thing as entertainment law or sports law. It's practicing law in an industry. And if you look at the first column here on the slide, these are all of the different areas that are touched by lawyers working in these industries. So business law, estate planning, federal income tax, trust and estates, copyright, trademark, publicity rights, labor, antitrust, nonprofit, corporation law, administrative law. And our program is set up to integrate all of these areas of the law through the lens of this industry. So if you go ahead and pursue this program, there are three different kind of tracks within the program. There's entertainment, arts, and sports. And depending on which track you select, it determines your curriculum. And we'll get into that a little bit later in this presentation. The one thing that's very unique about this program is that our courses are taught by leading practitioners, and all of our courses have a practical orientation to them. So it's very much a focus on practical skills training through the lens of the industry by leading practitioners, which also enables them to teach the business of the industry. So in addition to the LLM is 2 semesters long, and you have both elective and required courses. For foreign trained lawyers, you have an option to set your program up in a way that will allow you to qualify for a bar, such as New York. But in addition to the curriculum, it's very important in this program that we allow students to immerse themselves in the industry. So besides the course credit, we have required speakers weekly, tutorials or workshops, and site visits. These allow our students to get an insight into the industry from leading practitioners on site in some of the world's leading entertainment and sports facilities, venues, and institutions. So if we think about Miami right now as a sports city, it is obviously one of the most popular sports cities. We have all 5 major professional sports teams. We have the University of Miami Hurricanes athletic department here with basketball, football, volleyball, baseball, etc. We had Leo Messi join Inter Miami, which is obviously massive for the sport of U.S. soccer here with Major League Soccer. And we're integrated with all of these organizations. A picture there on the screen is our group 2 weeks ago visiting the Hard Rock Stadium here in Miami and meeting with their entire legal team, who is involved in not just the Miami Dolphins, Hard Rock Stadium, but also the Miami Open and the Miami Grand Prix or Formula One, which came to Miami 2 years ago.
Great. Thank you, Greg. All right, we're going to talk about a little bit more about our other specialty programs. So we also have an LLM in international arbitration. This program allows our students to establish expertise both in international commercial and investment arbitration, or choose one track out of these 2 with very globally renowned faculty members that teach in this program. The program is meant both for foreign trained and US trained students who would like to gain specific knowledge in the field of international arbitration. It requires the students to complete at least 24 credits, 12 of which need to be completed in arbitration courses. So you see these specialized programs, there's usually a requirement to complete at least half, if not more, of your credits in the specialized area. Those required courses in arbitration are composed of both mandatory and elective courses. We have a wide range of elective courses here, focusing on commercial arbitration, focusing on investment arbitration, focusing on different geographical areas. We have courses on arbitration in Latin America and the Caribbean. We have courses on arbitration litigation with a European nexus, and other sectors of arbitration as well. Courses on maritime arbitration. We're launching a new course on arbitrating art disputes and disputes focusing on cultural heritage. together with the art law program that Greg just mentioned. So really a wide array of course options here for our students. Students in this program, just like students in the entertainment, arts, and sports law specialized program, are still able to qualify to complete the courses that are necessary to qualify for a bar exam in the United States. So you can combine the specialization with the bar work if that is something that you're interested in. And the arbitration program also offers the practicum program that allows students to work with some of the leading law firms in international dispute resolution. Miami is actually one of the centers here in the United States for arbitration. We're usually the number 2 place in the US in terms of arbitration seated here, although last year actually we surpassed New York. So last year we're actually ranked number 1. So that was very exciting. So there's lots of law firms here that do this kind of work. And of course, we also have arbitral institutions like the AAA, the ICBR that have offices in Miami. And we do work with the World Bank as well, with ICSID through this practicum program. The deadlines for applying to the arbitration program are a little earlier. So for a spring start in January, it's December 1st, same as the other program. If you need a visa, you should apply by November 1st. But for our August start, you really should be applying by December 15th, also because some of these scholarships will start to be awarded after the December 15th deadline. So for those of you who'd like to be considered for scholarships for any of our programs, it's really best to apply by the priority deadline of each program to have the best chances of a scholarship. All right, we also have our LLM in international law. And as I mentioned earlier, of course, Miami is the gateway to Latin America, but also has very strong connections to other parts of the world. It's a global hub of culture and business. So with that, of course, it's a perfect place to study international law. The international law program is meant mostly for US law graduates who are looking to deepen their knowledge in international law. There's different, the courses really range across different areas of focus. So there are a number of courses that focus on public international law. We also have a lot of courses that focus on international business and cross-border transactions, so more of a commercial focus. And then, of course, also courses on foreign and comparative law that we offer through this program. The program requires 24 credits in international law, and it's a mixture of both required and elective courses. The practicum program for LLM students is available in this program as well, and you can find the application deadlines here on the slide, December 1st for a January start and May 1st for an August start as well. All right, our program in maritime law is one of our oldest programs here at Miami Law. Miami, of course, we're surrounded by water, so it is the perfect place to be studying maritime law. Also, this city is unquestionably the cruise capital of the world and also one of the top cargo gateways to the Americas through the Port of Miami. So the Maritime Law LLM program is meant both for foreign and US trained students who want to gain specialized knowledge in the maritime field. There's a number of course options here as well. Of course, we have the traditional law of the sea, public international focused courses. We also have a number of environmental law courses related to the maritime field. Of course, maritime law as well, the commercial applications, including cruise industry law, insurance, and so forth, are all offered through this program. The program requires 24 credits, and half of those credits need to be completed in maritime law courses. Like with most of our other specialty programs, students can complete the specialization and still qualify for a bar exam in the United States. And of course, the LLM practicum is also available in this program. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to Tom so he could tell us a little bit more about the real property and the tax program. Tom?
All right, Sandra, thank you very much. My pleasure to speak to you about the Real Property Development Program. It is the nation's oldest LLM program focused on real property. It's been around since the 1980s. We actually have over 500 graduates who are now practicing in some aspect of real estate law all across the country, and for that matter, all around the world. It is a program that offers in-person as well as online, and frequently we have people who may mix and match. They may have issues that they're dealing with at the start of the program and then gradually move to be able to be here in person. We have, as I mentioned earlier, a large number of applicants from all around the world. We currently have a number who are starting in the spring due to visa issues. So what Sandra said earlier, it's important if you're considering coming from a foreign country that you factor in that there may be additional time required to get here in person. But having said that, the program is available online. 30 credits are the program to graduate. The typical student will complete that in a 1 year, starting in August and complete in May. But it is also possible to, and many students do, if they have other responsibilities, extended so they graduate in the December of the second year. We work closely with our alumni around the world. As I mentioned earlier, we have such a wide network of them. We have tapped into them to provide mentorships and to provide another important tool that we have as part of the program, which is internships. So we currently actually have a student who is working with a practicing lawyer in Dubai, and she is going to be his mentor. She is a graduate from the program. I should add that the entire faculty is made up of practitioners. It's a point that we really promote here in the U.S. to our applicants, and should be something important to all of you. No disrespect to people who are practice and teaching in a academic environment, but our practical environment means that everyone who is teaching a course, they're teaching something that they practice in every day. They are eager to assist our students in getting involved in that particular area. I mentioned earlier, we encourage our students to take advantage of our internship programs, which allows a student to work for credit in a law firm, or it could be one of our local real estate development or other businesses, or even for that matter, in a governmental position here in Miami, all of which is an opportunity to develop and expand your, real estate experience. In addition to the internships, a number of the alumni have agreed and are serving as mentors. So maybe somebody who graduated from our program last year, or maybe 5 years or 10 years ago, but is in an area of law that's of interest to our current students, and we will pair them up so they can both assist them in working their way through the program, but assist them in job placement once they are finished the program. The application deadlines are similar to what Sandra and Greg outlined earlier. It has the December and May 1 deadlines, but it continues to be a rolling one until such time as either the semester is starting or the classes are filled. The fact that our program is online, it obviously facilitates that, because we don't tend to get filled as a result. I think that's all I have on the real property development. I'm happy to answer any questions once we move beyond that, but I'm going to jump in next to our tax law program, which is intended to really expand the tax law experience that a lawyer will have gotten during law school, because the tax law program focuses much more intently on the issues that are required to make somebody a true and valuable tax practitioner in what is obviously a very complex area of the law. The faculty is steeped in not only the issues that are there, but in the types of problems that may come up and are experienced in working with companies and businesses, and for that matter, individuals, to deal with their tax issues. The program taps on local alumni and local practitioners to speak with the students on real practical issues that they have encountered, to give it a real life and real practice kind of element to it. Students can choose if they want to concentrate on international tax. They can do that by choosing from the international tax electives that are offered. So it provides that kind of concentration for students who have that particular kind of interest. All right, Sandra. Okay, this is the LLM in taxation of cross-border investment. I will say my hat is off to people who are able to encounter and deal with the tax and law issues associated with that. But this is a program that is, aimed at students with foreign degrees, focuses on international tax issues, and can be completed online. It is ideal for students who have a tax background, but who expect international tax to be an important component of their professional careers. This will give them the kind of solid domestic tax law foundation, and also bring in enough experience in cross-border and other type of issues. It's designed with maximum flexibility because of the fact that these are, in many cases, practitioners who are already engaged in their practice in business or in a law firm. So the online opportunity facilitates all of that. As Sandra mentioned earlier, South Florida is a leading center of international tax planning and asset management. The concentration of many foreign companies here in South Florida that has been a factor in Miami for decades has only accelerated in the last couple of years thanks to COVID. So there are countless opportunities with foreign companies who have operations here. Miami also has benefited from a major influx of financial institutions and others who concentrate in international law. So it is an excellent opportunity to not only learn from people who are involved in the area, but network with people who will be either a resource for you currently or going forward. And again, the application requirements are similar to the other programs. Sandra?
Thank you, Tom. Wonderful. Thank you very much. So that was a short introduction to each of our LLM programs, ranging from our general program to our very specialized program here at Miami Law. Now I'd like to walk you through the application process for an LLM. It's really pretty straightforward. Here at Miami Law, you start by filling out the application form. Many of our programs will accept both LSAC and our own online application system. So you have a choice between those two in terms of how you'd like to submit your application. There is a small application fee that is associated with the application, and you will also be required to upload a personal statement. Personal statements usually about a page long, and we're interested to hear from you about your interest in pursuing an LLM program in the United States, specifically at Miami Law. If you're applying to a specialty program, we are also interested in hearing from you about your interest in entertainment law or international arbitration or real property development, maybe any coursework that you've done before, any moot courts, any work experience in that area. Those are all things that should go into your personal statement. We're interested to learn more about you, to see whether you're a good fit for our programs, but also whether we are a good fit for you. Part of the application is also to upload your resume, so just a simple resume or a CV will do here, and I'm sure all of you have that. We also require 2 letters of recommendation. We usually would like for at least one of those letters to be from an academic reference, meaning a current professor or former professor that you've had in your law school career. The second letter, especially if you've already worked for a number of years, the second letter of recommendation can also be from a professional reference, like a supervisor or a former colleague and the like. So 2 letters of recommendation. We will need all your university level transcripts and diplomas. So not high school, so don't worry about high school. But if you went to an undergrad program prior to going to law school, or if you also hold an MBA, for example, any university level education, we will need those transcripts and your diplomas for that. If your letters of recommendation or your transcripts are not in English, they will need to be translated by a certified translator. So that is part of the process. For purposes of applying, we often are able to accept your unofficial transcripts, but prior to joining our programs, we will absolutely need official transcripts for all of your university level education. Official means that the transcript has to be sent directly from your institution to us. This can happen either by mail or electronically. Another option would be for you to bring in your original transcripts for us to see and make copies, but we will need original transcripts eventually. For those of you whose native language is not English, we also require an English proficiency test. We usually accept both the TOEFL and the academic IELTS here. For the TOEFL, our minimum score requirement to enter the LLM outright is a 92. If your score is below 92, we have a number of options for you. We offer concurrent intensive legal English classes during the fall or spring semester. And also we have a 1-semester intensive legal English program that starts in January that can be combined with any of our LLM programs. I'll tell you a little bit more about that in a second. But the main point is, if you do not have a 92, it is not doesn't necessarily mean that you cannot join our programs. We have a number of options for those of you who are below that score. On the IELTS is a 7.0, but same, if you're below a 7.0, we might have other options for you in terms of joining our programs and completing some of our intensive legal English coursework. All right. So let me tell you a little bit about the different study options. The LLM program, if completed on a full-time basis, usually is a 9-month program, 2 semesters. So if you start in August, which the majority of our students start in August, you usually graduate in May of the following year. If you start in January, you usually graduate in December, but you have the summer off. Most of our programs also offer the flexibility of part-time study. So it's possible to do 3 semesters or 4 semesters in order to earn your LLM degree. So there's definitely some flexibility there. We already talked about the different start dates in August or January. Summer studies are usually optional, but possible for those of you who are interested. We also have a 2 to 2.5 year joint degree program, allowing our LLM students to apply to the Juris Doctor, the JD, remember that's the basic American law degree, after their first semester in the LLM program. This is a very popular program for our foreign trained lawyers who would like to stay in the United States medium or long term and would like to have the full qualification of an American lawyer. It also opens the door to other states in terms of the bar exam. So with the JD, you can sit for the bar exam anywhere in the United States, and we do not require the LSAT. I did this program myself. I could speak to the great opportunities that it unlocks. And it's a very special offering that we have here at Miami Law. Usually, remember, the JD is 3 years, the LLM is 1 year. So combining both could be as many as 4 years. So here you're able to do it in 2 and 2.5 years. It's really a wonderful way to save time. And, with that, also some tuition expense. Now, on the front end of our LLM programs, we do offer the intensive Legal English plus LLM program that starts in January every year. The first semester, our students are focusing on honing their legal English skills in communication classes and introduction to legal research, legal writing classes, and then they join the incoming LLM students in August. This program can be combined with any of our LLM programs and is a wonderful opportunity for those that either need or want to improve their legal English before embarking on their LLM studies. Our newest option is also a pathway from the LLM to our SGD program. So we just added that as an option as well. And then last but not least, there is always the opportunity of concurrent individual legal English support through our intensive English department here at the Greater University. So for students that are interested in pursuing that, that could be done concurrently with your LLM program. All right, and now last but not least, let's talk about scholarships for LLM students. So here at Miami Law, we have a limited number of full tuition scholarships in some of our LLM programs. So I encourage you to check out our website, to check out our individual programs, and they will have more information on the scholarships that are available for each of our programs. Of course, there's also partial scholarship opportunities for our LLM students. We have some specialty scholarships throughout our programs that are open to participants of certain moot court competitions, like the VSMoot, the Moot Madrid, for example, certain LLM fairs like Education USA or eFellows, certain professional organizations like AIJA, the International Organization for Young Lawyers, and so forth. So there are a lot of different opportunities here. And I do encourage you to go to the program that interests you to check out their specific scholarship offerings, because there's really too many for me to cover them all here today. Now, in addition to scholarships, we're always asked about other ways of funding your LLM studies. So, of course, there is the possibility of financial aid, which is basically federal loans. That is usually only available for US citizens or green card holders, which a number of our foreign trained lawyers actually have dual citizenship or hold a green card. So this is something that's definitely of interest to some of our LLM students here. For others, there also is the possibility of private student loans. For international students, there are a number of companies here in the United States that work with international students, Empower, Prodigy, to name a few that our students have successfully worked with before. We have more information on that on our website as well. In some countries, it's also possible to have a private student loan from a local institution in your home country. So both of those opportunities exist, and we encourage you to explore those. Our students are also able to work on campus during their LLM studies. So we have a number of opportunities there. Of course, on-campus work should only be part-time because your focus needs to be studying, and especially if you're an international student, you are not allowed to work more than 20 hours per week on campus, which is considered part-time. So we have a number of opportunities there. We have graduate research assistantships here at the law school, where the students work with individual professors, assisting them in their research, or with one of our institutes, including the International Arbitration Institute. Also, students can work as Dean's Fellows. which is basically like a teaching assistant. So right now we have a number of LLM students working in that capacity, supporting the introduction to US law class, supporting the legal writing course for LLM students, and so forth. There are also other opportunities for on-campus employment. Remember, we're not just a law school, we're a large university. So there's a whole campus here that provides opportunities for our students to work. We have LLM students who work at the university bookstore. We have LLM students that work at our international scholars and students offices. They work at the university gym. We have a hospital that is part of the university system. I've had some students who worked at the hospital. So the opportunities are really endless, and there is a database with all on-campus employment opportunities that is available to current students. So we really make it easy for students to see all the available jobs and to apply. During the summer, especially for students who continue into second year, upper level students, students who structure their studies part-time, is also possible often after the first year as an international student to work off campus as a law clerk, for example, or over the summer. Those options are particularly interesting for our students who transfer from the LLM to the JD-LLM joint degree, because they will have 2 to 2.5 years in the program. So the summer options are usually particularly interesting to them. I also want to mention, this is not really during your LLM, but after your LLM, after you graduate, if you're on an F1 student visa, which many of our international students are, you actually are able to apply for a 1-year work permit under your student visa. It's a benefit of your student visa. It's one of the reasons to come do an LLM in the United States versus other countries, because you get to stay for an entire year after your LLM, and you have a work permit. It's called the OPT, or Optional Practical Training, that many of our international students take advantage of. They work in law firms, they work in companies for that 1 year after the LLM. And of course, that is also an opportunity to earn back some of the money that you spend on tuition and living expenses during the LLM. And then last but not least, the university offers a payment plan that can make it easier to pay all the tuition and fees as an LLM student. All right, and last but not least, I wanted to share with you some of our upcoming events here at the law school. We have our regular LLM application and scholarship workshops, usually every other Wednesday during the fall semester. We alternate between 5 p.m. and noon to accommodate different time zones. We'll have another intro session on studying and practicing law in the United States on October 11. In that one, we'll focus also a little bit more about practicing law in the US and the different options for the bar exam. So that might be interesting for you. We have a special info session on our international arbitration program. And then we have our annual flagship lecture in arbitration with the president of the International Chamber of Commerce's Court of Arbitration, Claudia Salomon, coming up in November. And I have no doubt that some of our specialty programs have additional events, so I encourage you to check out our website. We have a page on recruiting events and lecture events specifically that you could check out to see what other events might interest you there as well. All right. And with that, that concludes our presentation, and I'm going to hand it back over to Gareth.
Sandra, thank you very much. I'm going to leave it on that screen. Oh, I was going to leave it on that screen because the QR code was on there. Just for your purposes.
No problem.
Back to mine. I think it makes a bit more sense. Look, thank you for that. And a huge thank you to Tom and to Greg as well for participating in that presentation. We're just going to go through a quick Q&A. I've got some questions off the back of that. I suppose one of the things I want to start with, and it's been alluded to already in the presentation, is how great a city Miami is and how great a place it is to live and study in. How multicultural is it there? Because from the outside, I mean, I've never been to Miami myself, but from the outside looking in, it looks like so many different nationalities and different cultures and different ways of life within one city. It makes it exciting and welcoming at the same time. Is that fair?
That is absolutely a fair description of Miami. It's a very exciting city. I'm a foreigner myself, and foreign born, and so are more than half of the residents of the 2 million people that live in Miami. So it is a very multicultural, international city. There are over 100 languages spoken. So it really, to me, I think for the first 5 years of living here, I felt perpetually on vacation because I was hearing all these different languages, and of course the palm trees and the great weather help with that as well. So yes, absolutely. It's a very international place. Also, in terms of, lawyers and networking, we have so many bar associations that work with other countries. We have the American Colombian Bar Association, the American Venezuelan Bar Association, and the chambers of business as well, the German American Chamber of Business, and so forth. So in terms of networking and events, it's really wonderful. Our students are able to go to downtown and participate in all of those events really on a regular basis. Sometimes we have to make sure they're still going to class because there's so much going on. So yes, absolutely. It's a very vibrant place. I think it's a perfect place for your LLM. Networking is so important, and you can do lots of it in this town.
Well, I'm sure your presentation mentioned earlier that you're one of the top cities to live in terms of being a lawyer, for the wage that you receive for being a lawyer. It brings me on nicely to the next point about employability and students helping their careers and their resumes in the future. What opportunities do you have with businesses locally, nationally, for any LLM student that wants to enhance their career once the LLM is over?
Of course. So I think one of the strengths of our LLM program is that throughout their LLM studies and afterwards, our career and development office on campus, we have a designated career advisor for our LLM students. These advisors specialize in the area of law that the students are going into. So we have dedicated career advisor for our students in entertainment, arts, and sports law. We have a dedicated advisor for our students in tax law, in real property, in international arbitration, and so forth. And our students are able to meet their advisor before the LLM program even starts, during orientation, and they will work with them throughout the LLM year in order to first polish up their resumes, learn how to write an American style resume, learn how to do a cover letter. They can do practice interview sessions. And then through our career development office, we are able to participate in a number of job fairs, some specifically for LLM students, including the very prestigious international student interview program at NYU. Only about 30 law schools participate in that program. I participate in that program myself, and I actually got a very good job offer through that program that then led to other opportunities. So I can speak to the importance and the great value that these interview programs can offer. So all of our foreign trained LLM students are able to participate in the program at NYU. And then there's, of course, on-campus interviewing, resume collection, and so forth. I want to emphasize that our career advisors continue to support our students after they graduate. So in my case, when I was looking to make a change in my career 5 years after graduation, I contacted them again, and they were wonderful and very helpful. So I think that's important as well. And that's just the general support that we offer. So in addition to that, we have, and I think both Greg and Tom also spoke to that, we offer in our programs what we call the LLM Practicum program. So our students have the opportunity during their studies to work with some of the leading law firms, companies, institutions in their respective field of study, be that entertainment, arts, and sports law, be that real property, be that dispute resolution, general business law. And that's really been a wonderful program for us. The students are able to find mentors. They're able to find recommenders for the future. They're able to get these wonderful firm names on their resume. And that means that they can show some work experience in the United States before they even graduate, which is hugely important to their later job search. And then last but not least, sometimes, and of course there's no guarantees, but sometimes these practicum programs lead to future employment, which we're very, very happy with that, of course, as well.
Can I talk about the type of student that enrolls at Miami? Because there has actually been a shift in the last 3 to 4 years in terms of the average age and what we would typically expect a student to be of when they enroll on an LLM course. And that's gone from anywhere between 23, 24 up to maybe early 30s. What we're seeing is a huge increase in the amount of what we call mature students, 35 plus, and now enrolling. You mentioned earlier, and there was a great point in your presentation about how you help the application process step by step, and it's a handheld process. You really want them to make it as smooth as possible. How do you accommodate for people with perhaps children, with accessibility needs, people that, you know, aren't necessarily, you know, find it easy to enroll? How do you help them kind of sort that landscape?
So Gareth, for us, it's actually not been a change because our programs have always been extremely diverse in terms, not just geographically, in terms of where our students come from, but our students have always been very diverse in terms of their age. And you're absolutely right. Our youngest students in the LLM program are in their early 20s, and they have just graduated law school abroad, and they're joining our LLM programs. The average is probably somewhere in their late 20s, early 30s, but we have always had what you call mature students. For us, they're just normal students in their late 30s, in their 40s, in their 50s, in their 60s. So for us, that's really just been the norm, and that's been the case for as long as I could think when I was a student, and you know, even 20 years ago. So we have a lot of flexibility. We also have a lot of working students. We have a lot of students who have been living in the United States as foreign lawyers and who have been working, you know, as paralegals or foreign advisors, for example, and who are now later in their career, you know, taking the extra step of getting a law degree in the US, being able to sit for the bar exam so that they can advance their existing careers. So we're very used to working with, you know, students who have families, students who are working. So that's why I did mention the part-time options. And also the flexibility that many of our programs offer. Of course, the general program is extremely flexible, and we're able to build schedules for students that will only have them come to class twice per week, for example, or predominantly in the evenings or at lunchtime to accommodate a working schedule, predominantly in the morning to accommodate, you know, having small children and having to watch them in the afternoon. So we are able to do that. And also our specialty programs, since we work one-on-one with each student in customizing their schedule and selecting their courses to help them reach their goals, we're able to take all of that into consideration.
I think that's so important as well to remember. There's so many LLM courses, not just in the USA, but around the world, that are quite rigid. They don't offer those flexible options that you guys offer. So anyone watching in the future live, you know, it's a great opportunity. No matter who you are, like Sandra mentioned, 60, 50, 40 children, doesn't matter. I just want to wrap things up, Sandra, on a couple of questions. First of all, I want to talk about the funding and scholarship opportunities. One of your slides did mention the wonderful opportunities that are available. If you're an international student and you're looking at some financial help, how should they go about that? Do they need to go directly to you? Do they go externally? What's the next steps for them?
So we always encourage the students to talk to us directly. Of course, we do have a number of scholarship opportunities here directly at the law school. Depending on the program, we might even have full tuition scholarships for some of our programs. Now, in the arbitration program, for example, one of our full tuition scholarships does require the student to write an essay. So it's important to understand not just that these offerings exist, but also what you have to do. There might be deadlines associated with it. General advice I would give is apply as early as possible. So definitely try to apply by the priority deadline, because that gives you the highest chance of obtaining a scholarship. we also have a catalog of what we call external scholarships. And those are very specific to a student's nationality, a student's country of legal education, gender. There are some scholarships specifically for women, and also their area of specialization. So it's too many out there for us to, put that on a slide, but we always encourage students during the application process to talk to us so we can send them a customized list of external scholarship opportunities that might be available for them as well.
Excellent. And finally, to wrap up, what is what intake dates? Again, you've mentioned it already, but I just want to go through it just to re-emphasize. How many intakes do you have a year? And if a student wants to join halfway through an academic year, is that an option? Do you have summer school potentially that they could kind of enroll into? And I know you've mentioned the English language assistance program as well that you offer as well. So if we can just go into that a little bit more detail, and then we'll wrap things up.
Yes, of course, absolutely. So that's part of the great flexibility that our programs offer, right? So our general intake is, of course, fall. That is customary in the United States. For us here in Florida, fall actually starts in August. So that might be a little earlier than some schools in the Northeast, for example, that might not start until September. We start in the middle of August for fall. That is our main intake for all of our programs. Most of our programs also allow for a spring start in January. So that is, of course, a smaller number of students, but we do this all the time. The students are usually able to integrate very well with the existing class. And also some of our students, especially from the joint programs, graduate in December. So we have constantly new students joining and other students graduating. So it's not, it's not difficult for students who come in January to integrate themselves well into the existing class and into the existing programs. And then as you mentioned, yes, absolutely, for students who are looking for a pathway program to improve their English, or we also have some students, they're not necessarily looking to improve their English, but they've been practicing for 10, 15, 20 years as lawyers, and going back to law school is kind of daunting. And they're moving to Miami with their families, for example. So the intensive legal English program is a great way of, transitioning back to law school. Even if you don't necessarily need to improve your English, you can always improve your English, but we have students in the program who had a 92, for example, and they still found it hugely valuable. And that program also starts in January. It's a one-semester program, and then students go into the different LLM programs starting in August.
Excellent. Thank you, Sandra. Thank you for your time. Really appreciate that. And to Greg and Tom in the background as well. Once again, you've been watching the University of Miami School of Law webinar, part of the USA Festival Week. All these webinars will be live on demand in the coming days. They will be sent to you via email. So if anyone has any questions or any issues, please email myself, Gareth@postgradsolutions.com.